Welcome to Rich on the Road Across America. Hey there, this is Rich.
I have some technical difficulties with my main camera, so there will be less riding video, and some of the video will have white skies and high contrast. But it is the best I could salvage from the camera.
Hey there, this is Rich. It is a cold morning. Right now it's 37 degrees. Yes, the season's supposed to be over, but I'm gonna take a day trip. Today's high is supposed to be around 65 degrees. It's November. I can't pass up a chance like that. So we're leaving Nashville and we're heading toward the Twin Arches in Big South Fork in the Cumberland Plateau of Tennessee. Big South Fork extends from a large part of Tennessee up into Kentucky. We're staying in Tennessee today. We're going to Oneida, Tennessee. There's several arches in Big South Fork, but this is the main attraction. It's about 150 miles from here, 3.5 hours or so. So we're gonna hop on, take off, do a day trip. We'll be back this afternoon. So come along, let's have some fun. Let's go, guys.
So I just got off of I-40 and I'm in Monterey, Tennessee. I'm glad to be off the interstate and on some lovely back roads. This is what I really enjoy. This is the fun part of riding. Interstates aren't that much fun. I really wanted some more fall foliage, but it looks like we've missed it by about a week or two. Had some rains, so I'm thinking that whatever leaves there were pretty much got knocked off with the rain. But right now we are toward Big South Fork. We topped the Cumberland Plateau. My ears popped. The Cumberland Plateau is in middle eastern Tennessee, and it is on the western side of the Smoky Mountains. It is a raised area, and by the name of Plateau, it's raised and flat. Ride some back roads for about an hour. Lovely hills like this right here. That's the kind of fun stuff that I really enjoy. I really like hills a lot. I like curvy roads. I like the back roads. It's another beautiful day. It was cold this morning. I'm not going to say chilly. It was cold this morning. But right now it's warmed up a good little bit. Blue skies, sun is out. You can't ask for anything better than this. This is what motorcycle riding is all about. And I'm so happy to be here right now. So let's enjoy the day. Let's enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy the views. And let's go see the arches in Big South Fork. Appears I have about 4 miles of tightly packed gravel, but a 4-mile road of gravel to get back to the Twin Arches. Didn't know that, but so far the road's okay. It's very firmly hard packed, except for those potholes. So I think I'll be all right unless it changes, but really pretty. Wooded, secluded back road. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll try to get to the Twin Arches really soon. Well, we just took a turn off of the tightly packed road onto now a semi-loosely packed road. I have 2 miles of this before I get to the parking lot. You know, on my trip to the Ozarks, I pulled off the side of the road into some, and now this was big, almost ball-shaped, loose gravel that I pulled into in the Ozarks. I dropped loose sill there. I'm not a fan of gravel roads on a cruiser. Right now I'm on the trail going to the Arches. It's really nice 7/10 of a mile trail. I'm taking the trail, really well maintained. Little steps made out of timbers, makes it easy to traverse. Not bad at all until I get right here. That, my friend, is a steep set of steps. Feet are halfway off the steps here. It is steep.
almost a ladder. Not quite, but almost a ladder. I'm about to round the corner to the first arch. They were formed because coming through this valley, water would come rushing through and hit this cliff face behind me. And the weaker areas, which is where the arches are now, the weaker areas, the water eroded away and tore into the cliff side, and eventually worked its way through the cliff and made an arch on this side, and then continued to erode on the other side and made an arch on that side. Pretty cool. Here's what I know. There are two arches. This is the south, and the first one was the north. And they have spans of 135 and 95 feet, and they are 70 and 51 feet tall. I happen to have a funny story about arches in Big South Fork. About 30 years ago, Mrs. Don't You Dare, and her full name is Mrs. Don't You Dare Teach My Daughter How to Ride a Motorcycle, but I've shortened it down to Mrs. Don't You Dare for many reasons of her saying, "Don't you dare." Like, don't you dare sit with your feet hanging off the arches. We hiked up here, not to these arches, but to another set of another arch in Big South Fork. We hiked it about 7 miles with full frame backpacks, tent, sleeping bags, food, clothes, everything you need. It was dusk, so we decided to set up our tent, and we went up on top of the arch like everybody does to look off and see the view. And I thought, you know, there's some moss right there. Let's just put our tent on top of that moss so it's a little bit soft. It's a little pup tent. Put the tent on top of the moss so it's soft, and just sleep on top of the arch. That'd be cool, and wake up in the treetops in the morning when the sun comes up. Well, we set up our tent, spent the night. She didn't sleep well. She doesn't like tent camping. I don't think I slept well either, but I did sleep, or she didn't sleep at all, I don't believe. And then as the sun came up, we both got up, packed up everything we had, put our backpacks back on, hiked down the arch, and as we got to the bottom, there's a sign that said, "No camping on top of the arches." We didn't know it. And it was 30 years ago. We were 30 years younger. Culture was different 30 years ago. I think if we'd been caught, we'd probably been told just to tear it down and get off. Today, we'd probably be arrested and put in jail. Who knows? But kind of a funny little story of us not knowing any better. And we slept, tent camped on top of one of the arches in Big South Fork. Kind of fun.
Well, I'm at the end of the 4 miles of gravel road. Not fun. This bike is 20 years old. I don't have ABS. I don't have riding profiles. I just have my quote-unquote skill, which is supposed to make me a better driver because I have to rely on my skills, my experience, but it also means I don't have a safety net behind me. There's a thing called fixation avoidance, and what happens is you see something and you fixate on it. You fixate on that patch of loose gravel. You fixate on that bridge, on that telephone pole, on that pothole. We all fixate. But you have to identify that I'm fixating, break that fixation, and pick your route. So coming out was easier than going in because I knew going in you don't know how bad the road is going to be, how loose the gravel is going to be. Coming out, you now know that you can make it. So you come out with more confidence, but you can't relax your diligence. So I'm out, back on the road, Arches were fantastic. The weather's great. I've peeled off a bunch of layers. This morning was cold, but right now it feels fantastic. So I'm going to enjoy these curvy roads to get back out of here, going back toward Monterey, Tennessee, out of Oneida. Then I'll hit the interstate and we'll head back home. It was great to have a day trip in the middle of November. It was unexpected, but I'm glad I got the chance to do it. So let's go, guys, and let's have some fun. Well, I'm going to tell a story. I like telling stories, so I'm going to tell one. About 3 weeks ago, I was doing some yard work, and I had some large stones in the backyard. Now, I'm not talking about rocks. I'm talking about stones, small boulders, stones. And I went to move one. I was going to one end of it, turn it around. Went to move it, lifted it up. It was like lightning went through my back. And as soon as it did, my breakfast came up. And I went down. I was laying on the ground, and I called my doctor while laying on the ground. That's how bad it hurt. He called in some muscle relaxers. That's been about 3 weeks ago. It was 10 days of muscle relaxers. Now, I went through them. It didn't really do much. I can't really say that. Well, that's one thing about medication. How do I know if it did anything or not? Anyway, 3 weeks later, I'm still in pain. And to be honest with you, this morning, I got from Nashville to Cookville, which is about an hour and a half or so, hour and 45 minutes out. And the whole trip, I felt nauseous. I felt like I was going to throw up. I felt lightheaded. I felt faint. And you can say, you're a pansy. You're a little sissy. Who gets lightheaded and nauseous from a pulled muscle? But I felt bad this morning. At times, I caught myself weaving in my lane. I never got out of my lane, but I wasn't in control. I wasn't in good shape, and I really shouldn't have been riding. When I got to Cookville, I pulled over, got some gas. I got a cup of coffee. You know, it was cold, so I was tense. My back was hurting, so I was tense. So maybe just getting off and sitting and eating something made me relax a little bit. But when I got back on the interstate after Cookville and heading toward Big South Fork, I got to feel a little better. But this morning, I really should not have been riding. I wasn't alert. I wasn't in control. Mental facilities weren't all there, which they're not all there ever, but they were in pretty bad shape this morning. It was beautiful weather. The arches were cool, so I'm glad I made that. And like I always say, you're never home and safe until you're home and safe.
Well, I had a great day trip to Twin Arches. Beautiful weather. Who would have thought that in the middle of November? And if it happens again, I've got an idea of another place to go. So, end of season, no more overnights. This was a great day trip. I might have one more. We'll see if the weather plays out and lets us have another great weekend. We'll do it again. If not, this is it, and we will do it again next spring. So, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
I may be poor, but I'm rich on the road across America.